Hello, learners. Uh, Today we will discuss about India and South Asia. There is a one course designed for MPS, that is for MA in Political Science, 113. But besides 113, there are other courses for UG and PG where the content and syllabi of this could be very effective and useful to understand, because India and South Asia, when we discuss about it, the larger uh, landscape it covers from Indian perspective of world politics, and that too in the domain of the Indian foreign policy. However, we discuss the different theories of IR. So that is why this course is very important. But let us understand, what is South Asia? Is it merely a geographical entity, or is it a cultural entity? What are its major problems which exist in South Asia, which is known as an Indian subcontinent? And that is how we correlate with India and South Asia. Why is it Indian subcontinent? Because there was a time when most of the South Asian countries, if you take into account, they were at a certain point of time were part of India. It were dissected by the colonial master or butchers, and we call it a cartography at the will of imperialistic yardstick, without realizing the cultural imperatives, connection among the South Asian countries. They were very badly and roughly dissected as a different countries in geographical terms, and to layer up and cover up as the concept of the nation state. That is how the Pakistan was created, and from Pakistan, Bangladesh was created. Sri Lanka was created. Many rest of the countries, Nepal, Bhutan, and all. Maybe some of the countries were not, when we, in the legal terms, the integral part of India in geographical understanding as we understand the sovereignty. But culturally, they were so integrated, and that is why it was called, and still it is known as the Indian subcontinent. भारतीय उपमहाद्वीप के देश के रूप में हम उनको जानते और समझते हैं. There are certain common features among all the South Asian countries. As we all know, it has regional organization also which exists, created in 1985, which is called SARC. In Hindi we know, we call it Dakshesh. There are 8 countries in it. But going beyond the SARC, what do we see? Certain challenges, certain features which are common among all the South Asian countries. There are certain good points, there are certain negative points as well. So we will try to discuss and identify what are the common identifications of negative and positive factors. Let's begin with the challenges and negative factors. It is a densely populated continent. If you call it a subcontinent, it's a highly densely populated in the world. It is also, during the Cold War, it was called developing countries. Some of the countries were called undeveloped countries as well. But largely the economic sphere was not very good. And still it is not very good if you look at the account of the all South Asian countries. The third negative factor or challenge of this region could be identified. There is very less trade among the South Asian countries. In itself, it is a uh, paheli. It is a kind of bottleneck to unlock, because why there is so much less trade among the South Asian countries. If you compare the data from the 1960s, when they became an independent entity in terms of sovereignty as a nation state, the trade among the South Asian countries was fairly 3.5 to 5% among themselves. But if you compare the data in 2024-25, what do we find? The trade among the South Asian country is still haggling around 1 to 1.5, which has come down from 3.5 to 4% to 1.5. Why is it so that we do not trade among ourselves? And that is how the current regime in India, when it came into, is started a new scheme under the Indian foreign policy that is called the First Neighborhood Policy. We will discuss about it. But what are the other factors of challenges? Extremism is on rise. So the fundamental forces are being supported from the outside, but definitely blooming in the different corners of South Asia, whether it is Pakistan, which is on the verge of collapse and creating a different kind of problems for not merely for South Asia, but to a large extent to the world politics as well. Fundamentalist forces are gripping and are in the driving seat. And that is how we could see and identify in the last 3 to 4 decades. Why did it become the epicenter of terrorism? Likewise, there is a spillover effect of Pakistan factor in Bangladesh in the last few years could be also seen. And they are also moving around in other parts of the countries, like they are making a place safe haven in Nepal, in Bhutan, and in India as well. The fourth factor challenges is illegal migrations. All we could see, the migration is a global issue which is taking place in different parts of the world altogether, wherever there is a conflict. But South Asia is a region where there is a huge number of illegal migrants move from different countries to India, because India is the only country which shares the boundary with all the South Asian countries. And the history is all in this. At certain point of time, they were a part of India. And that is how, whether it is Chakma refugee, whether it is the Rohingyas, where is many other kinds of refugee are moving around from Myanmar to Northeast India, from Bangladesh to different corners of India, from Pakistan as well. They also slip into through the land routes, and in some of the countries through the sea routes. But it is a grave problem, and it challenges the security apparatus of India and many other countries. Fifth challenge is ethnic violence. We have seen there are different kind of ethnic violence were brewing in the South Asia, and Sri Lanka was one of them, where almost for 2 decades Tamil versus Sinhalese conflict continued, and so much bloodshed took place. Thousands and thousands of people were being killed. Many eminent leaders were being assassinated. And still, it has not been completely vanished and wiped out. The tension and anger still exist. Likewise, different kind of ethnic conflicts is still there between in Myanmar, in Bhutan also, and in certain pockets of India as well. And they're all well connected because through the origin, somehow the motherboard is India. Either it is South India or Northeast India. So whatever goes wrong in any of the countries of South Asia, it has a direct linkages with one of the states of India. So flood and natural calamities are another problem which we could see in South Asia. South Asia is a country where it is prone to a different kind of natural calamities. During the flood, currently you could see the data, how the certain regions of Bangladesh, certain parts of Northeast India, and other parts of states of India as well, in Nepal also, Bangladesh, Pakistan, all are being prone to natural calamities. Flood is one of them. Earthquake-prone area are also largely fall into this domain. And there are many research, there are many reports which indicate that whenever the natural calamities take place, the casualties are more after the natural calamities because there is no management between the two countries because of the political animosity which exists between the two. Likewise, if earthquake occurs on the border of India and Pakistan, and because of the bad management and bad relations, we do not collaborate and accordingly resolve the issue in the post disaster conditions. So this is another area of problem. Fifth, the polity, law and order are also a challenge in many parts of South Asia. Indian democracy has flourished in the last 76 years. On the other hand, we can see the situations in some of the South Asian countries where democracy is still floundering. They do not have check and balance. They do not have a proper institution which could support the democratic sentiments to flourish in South Asia. Pakistan is a glaring example where the military institution has failed all the other democratic institutions in the country. And likewise, in the last few months and years, Bangladesh is also gripping under the same kind of situations and infiltrations and spillover. Pakistani factors are affecting the polity of Bangladesh. Another important and dominant factor to be acknowledged in South Asia, the role of the external power. All we understand when we study South Asia and try to figure it out, it is called Indian subcontinent, and India is the linchpin in building the South Asia. There is a proper theory which has been explained by many of the experts. None of the South Asian countries can develop without the support of India. And it is not, India is a big in terms of size and power because they are culturally, economically so integrated The system is so bound by a different kind of forces which can combine them together and lead them to the further development. And if they do not follow that route, then it is very difficult to flourish. And the last few decades development in Bangladesh is a very tipping point where we could identify how Bangladesh has developed through better coordinations and relations with India. And at certain point of time, the purchasing power and GDP was a little better than India or Bangladesh. Though in the last few months, the polity is in a very bad shape, and there are many political challenges which are coming up and emerging in Bangladesh that is affecting the economy as well. But none of the South Asian countries could make a big jump in economic terms, in developing, in the development of different sector without the support of India. That is well understood. And during the Cold War, America was one of the dominant power in South Asia, shaping the polity of different countries through the donations and back channel pull and pushes, which America did it with Sri Lanka, America did it in Bangladesh, America tried to mingle with Nepal, Maldives, many, almost all the South Asian countries were being affected by the policy of America. In the last 3 decades, China has been doing the same and trying to figure out and settle the political structure of the different South Asian countries. So it is also proven fact and theory. Besides India, because India is culturally integrated to South Asia, it has a different kind of understanding. If any external power plays a dominant role in shaping the polity and economic imperatives in South Asia, it will boomerang. And in fact, it really boomeranged in many of the South Asian countries. OBR is one of the example. Pakistan used to be the closest friend of China, which has been said by Xi Jinping and different military leader of Pakistan. It is higher than Himalaya and deeper than sea. But what we could see wherever the project of China is going on in Pakistan, there is a lot of resentment among the Pakistani people because they are trying to behave like Pakistani citizens as slaves. Their economy and polity are completely hijacked by the Chinese ठेकेदार. So there are many other negative fallouts and identification of South Asia, but there are certain also positive factors which you can figure out in South Asia as well. And what are the positive figures? One is youth population. All we know that India is having currently the largest number of working population in the world. And many of the South Asian countries follow on the same, they stand on the same ground. They have huge number of youth populations altogether. And that could be the working population which could play a very important role in building a strong economy in South Asia. The second important factor, there is a huge natural resources available in many of the South Asian countries in different ways. Take the example of Bhutan and Nepal. They are the two mountainous countries where the river flows and falls, where it generates a lot of electricity. But if there is a proper coordinations and relations exist among the South Asian countries, that natural resources could be converted into electricity, and wherever there is a darkness in the different towns and cities of South Asia could be lightened up through these electricities, and it could be a game changer in terms of development of the South Asian countries. Third, the Indian culture is a culture of high consciousness and inclusivity, where we could see not merely among the eight South Asian countries, but it goes beyond the eight South Asian countries like Southeast Asia, Central Asia, where there is one research, more than 53 countries fall into this line. And there is a huge amount of opportunity to integrate themselves. And that could become a major big pull of global South, where a lot of trade could be undertaken among these South Asian countries, and it could not be dependent on any external power from where we are a small daily uses items are being exported. The Indian items are so cheap and so credible, but because of the bad terms and bad relation, one or two South Asian countries, they import from far-flung of European and Latin American countries, sometimes Chinese, from China, where the route is almost 3 times longer than what it can do with India. So opportunities are huge, resources are available. Only what is needed is a mindset, a political will to navigate and collaborate among themselves. Fourth important opportunities and positive factor which you could see, that all South Asian countries are somewhere, somehow, were part of the India. And they have cultural affinity, the groups of a community where somehow they belong to the Indian landscape, wherever we could see the Sri Lankan problems, the Sinhalese and Tamils, they can integrate with India. Likewise, the Madhesi in Nepal, they can integrate with. So larger gamut of the people or communities are living maybe in the different nation state, but the adherence and affections are completely attached with India, could play a very lead role in resolving some of the issues which exist in South Asian countries. So what is important for South Asia? The important are, first, let's follow the route, what the Indian foreign policy, what the Indian thinkers, what the Indian policy makers have designed over a period of time, from Panchsheel to first neighborhood policy, which deals with South Asia, which you could see there is a similarity, lineal route. We have not changed. Different turning points came, whether it is a Gujarat doctrine, whether it is a Panchsheel, whether it is the current regime which wants to activate the trade volumes among the South Asian countries. And trade volume could only increase with the stability and peace among the South Asian countries. The first and the most important priority of Indian mindset is to have a very strong and peaceful political system in most of the South Asian countries, and that is lacking. Pakistan is a glaring example where you could see we are not talking to Pakistan for last many years. The reason is very clear, categorical, explained by India. Talks and terror will not go together. And it is a very vivid, categorical statement of India. If the adherence of Indian inclusivity and cultural connectivity dominates the policy making of many South Asian countries, I believe South Asia is a region which has been categorized by many Western scholars and thinkers as undeveloped, could be much better than what it was understood by them, and it can be a better place, a better polity to live with. There are huge opportunities with a lot of natural resources. It is a continent of rivers. It has all kind of natural beauties. So I believe South Asia is to be understood properly and explained accordingly, and this syllabi, which is available for MPS 113, will give you in-depth analysis of your course. Thank you.